After a year of COVID-19 restrictions, school closures, and sports cancellations, we're finally seeing tentative steps back to normalcy amid all the chaos. For young athletes, spring is more than a season. It's time to get back on the track field, tennis court, baseball diamond, etc. Dr. Ramy Hashish is a body performance and injury expert who has an important heads up for parents before their child gets back into sports. Good morning, doctor.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. And this is a great topic because I have two kids that are very active. Let's talk about it. Now that many kids are able to resume their sports, does the chance for injury increase?
Unfortunately, it absolutely does. Kids have had a relatively long layoff, and if they've been cooped up in the house playing video games, Xbox, or what have you, their body may be a bit deconditioned. And if so, and now they're jumping into the sports season, they may expose themselves to a relatively higher risk for injury.
And why is that they would be more likely to get injured now?
Well, we have to keep in mind that kids already have a higher risk for injury from sports, right? So, sports are actually the second leading cause of emergency room visits among children in the United States. The first
Oh.
being, of course, fevers and respiratory issues. But now, if they've gone this long period and they're a bit deconditioned because they've been cooped up in the house, their bodies may not be prepared for the season ahead. And then if we couple that with kind of some of the side effects of COVID, which include these truncated seasons, these shorter seasons, shorter ramp up periods for the season, then it may be a little bit too much, too fast, too soon for the kids' bodies.
All right, gotcha. So what can parents do to help their kids avoid any injury?
Well, they've done a lot of research on this, and it turns out that playing alone, and research has shown that playing alone has helps the children's bodies develop and helps prepare them for the season ahead. So encourage your kids to play. That helps their bodies get prepared and physically prepared. But also, you may want to supplement that with maybe additional stretching that they may have not been accustomed to doing in the past. Depending on the sport, they may want to jump into some sports specific conditioning or exercises. And as well as, of course, nutrition is key. You have to drink a lot of water. You have to even promote the rest. Kids may be a little bit reluctant to go to sleep at the right hour, but right now more than ever, it's important.
Oh my gosh, I always have that sleep struggle with my kids. Now, are there specific sports that are going to be a little bit more likely where we see these injuries?
Yeah, absolutely. So the three main, at least team sport activities that are most prone for injury are the ones in which we'd expect, right? The big three are football, basketball, and soccer. These activities that are highly engaging, a lot of agility, cutting, and in many instances high impacts, right? And then from a more independent sport perspective, where people kind of more perform independently, there are things such as cycling and rollerblading, where kids can sustain falls, and of course gymnastics, which may expose the body to a lot of forces.
Oh, sure, sure. And we've been talking mostly about these injuries to the muscle and the bones, but what about other injuries that can happen? What else should we be thinking about?
Well, I think the biggest one that parents should be aware of these days is brain injury. That has been a big passion of mine, the research and understanding of brain injuries and how they develop. And it's also been, fortunately, a big focus in the communities at large. And there's a lot of research being done on brain injuries today. It's the silent killer, so to speak, right? So, with regards to the sports that are most likely to produce brain injury or expose kids to a higher risk for brain injury. In boys, it's of course football with those high impacts that they're regularly exposed to, and in girls, it's soccer where they may head the ball. It's important for parents to understand, however, that brain injury can result even void of actually impact of the head. Just as long as the head is vigorously rotated or accelerated, it can actually result in kind of the brain shaking a bit and the production of concussion. So, in addition to just thinking of the body physically, it's also important for parents to consider from a brain perspective and mentally.
Well, these are all great tips and advice because it's like we're getting this heads up. I know parents like myself, we're just ready to go. We're like, sign them up. Let's get them out there, get them active. But, we do have to think about, some of the potential downsides. So this is a great reminder for all parents. Thanks for joining us this morning, doctor. If you want to learn more about body performance and injury, you can visit RamiHashish.com.